Hello, a warm welcome to InnoStars Talks. Today I am joined by Monika Stepanova, who is one of the founders and the CEO of a startup called Likely Technologies. It is a Czech startup developing a portable solution to detect counterfeit medicines. Monika, so lovely to have you on InnoStars Talks.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. It's so lovely to be here as well.
Fantastic. So let's kick it off straight away with a very difficult question. And that question is about the problem. I mean, you're trying to tackle the issue of counterfeit medicines. How big a problem is that really?
Yes, so I would like to say that sadly it's a big problem. It's mostly connected to fentanyl crisis right now. I'm not sure if you've heard about it.
No.
It's
Tell us a
very
bit
little.
more.
It's it's very little drug. It's 50 times more potent than heroin, and it's usually mixed into counterfeit pills to mimic the effect of real medicine. 7 out of 10 counterfeit pills contain little dose of fentanyl, so people who take the pill, they don't even know they took it. So this is like a big issue. There are like 400 deaths every day, and 200 of them are from fentanyl. And in 2023, there was more than 200,000 drug overdose deaths. And like 70% was about fentanyl, and that those statistics are from CDC. So this issue is bigger in the United States right now, but sadly it's also spreading across Europe, and it's getting more and more in here. So we are happy we can help.
So how did you come up with the idea of a startup, that would tackle this issue? Because that's not quite, a common thing, and probably not everyone is aware of this issue.
I really like this question, and I really like to answer this one because the idea was not mine. It was one of our co-founders, Lukáš Nejdl, who came with the whole method and with the whole technology behind it. It all started at the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry at Mendel University in Brno, and I like to say that he was playing in his lab and trying to find some new approaches, and he did it. And the first time actually he came to his boss and he said, look, I think I found something very interesting. They said, no, that cannot be true. That is too good to be true. That's not going to be working. And but they let him to do it and continue with this research, and he was able to improve and improve. He started to work with this technology on counterfeit wine and water quality, but then Czech police noticed this technology and they really liked it, and they said, can you also analyze drugs? And first we thought we can analyze just liquid samples, but now we found out, or back then we found out that we can analyze also samples that can be liquefied. And that's how the collaboration started. Meanwhile, we met each other, so we started to cooperate together at the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. And then after some collaboration with police, they took us with them to DEA and Interpol. It was December 2022 to show our technology to them, and we validated the solution. We saw the problem because we didn't know it's that huge before we actually saw it in the United States. And when we saw the big interest, we knew we're going to found a company and start working on it even more.
So can you tell us a little bit more about how the solution works and what the business idea behind that is? You mentioned the Czech police, but you then mentioned Interpol as well and a couple of other institutions.
Yes, so I would start with the technology. What we have right now is that I would say 3 products. It's a portable device, it's single-use cartridge, and then it's global database. So it's like a package. If you want to have the solution, you need to have all of those. So if you imagine you are a special agent, you go on a mission, then you take the catcher device and the cartridges with you. You take the sample, insert it in the cartridge you insert in the device, and within 10 minutes, you have the result in the database. So how it works, we are using method which is called UV fingerprint method. This method is patented. Lukáš is author of this patented method. And what we can do is that we can create the fingerprint, like the chemical composition of the sample. So then we compare each other, the sample with each other. So we're the only one who can cross-match individual cases. So we are not able just to say, yes, this is flour or cocaine, heroin or gummy bear or whatever. We can also say this fentanyl, which we found today in Brno, is 93% the same as the fentanyl, which we found last month in San Diego. So we can cross-match the individual cases.
So I think the database is really essential, right?
Yes.
The global database.
Yes, for sure. And the good thing is that the bigger it gets, the more data and the more information we can give to the customers. So, it's called network effect. And the more data, the more information, and the more valuable it will be for the customer.
And are there similar solutions somewhere out there, similar to yours?
Yeah, so there are, of course, solutions. Either laboratory ones or portable ones, but they can detect the drug, the sample, the whatever that is. So they can say, yes, this is fentanyl, this is not, this is cocaine, this is not, but they cannot cross-match the cases together. So this is what they are very missing. What they like to hear and what is missing on the market is, and that's like a keyword, cross-matching individual identification of drug shipments. Mm-hmm. So this is the thing that nobody else can do. And why we can do it is because we have the method, the UV fingerprint, which can compare the samples together, plus there is the need for standardization of sample preparation. And that we have thanks to the single-use cartridge.
Mm-hmm. The solution seems really, revolutionary. But I believe that with every startups, there's always a situation when you experience some sort of setbacks, and you're doing something, you think that you've discovered something else, and then it seems, okay, I need to work a bit more about on that. Have you had situations like that as well?
Yes, of course, a lot. I don't know where to actually start. We are also building hardware, so mm-hmm. That's a very hard task to do. We have also software, but also hardware, and when you have hardware, there is so many things they can go wrong, and you have to keep trying, and then something is not working, and then you change a different component, but it's not working even more. So that's definitely a hard part, but also that can be positive, but also negative. As I mentioned, we can analyze almost any liquid or sample that can be liquefied, which is good because then we can, as I mentioned, we can analyze the counterfeit medicine, which is our main focus right now, but we can also analyze counterfeit wine, water quality, environmental issues, and so on, which is good for the future, which is good for the science. But for the start, it's super hard to choose the one use case. Mm-hmm. The one with which one you start. And at the beginning, it was hard. We started with water, then we switched to wine, then we tried perfumes, then we tried insects, like when you eat, dried insects. So we tried food from those things, and then the police came and then showed us this problem. And we're like, okay, this is it. This is where we're gonna go. But it also has bad, and because we are working with police, it's governmental sector, which is very slow, and that's very bad for startup. So now we reopened another segment, and we started to work again with water and wine to be able to generate revenues faster before the governmental sector is gonna go. So there are always stuff which you have to navigate. But don't lose focus on what you've been working for.
Mm-hmm. So this is your lesson learned, as I understand, right? From that.
Yes. Well, lesson learned. Yes. I mean, I hope so. I'm still learning. But the thing is that it never repeats. If you have this, for example, when I was mentioning hardware. we don't make the same mistakes. For example, first thing we needed to deal with was that we have this UV light in our technology. That's also, since it's a crucial component, that's also where the Lightly name came from, because we're using light. It was overheating. When we were using it a lot, it was overheating. So it changed the result of the sample. So we needed to add a cooling system. But then the cooling system was too big. So then we needed to make it smaller, and so on and so on. So, I mean, lessons learned, yes, but it's not the same mistakes all the time.
And you mentioned the idea of working with the public sector, which obviously, like you said, has its own challenges. Would you like to share any tips for startups that are looking into the public sector? What to avoid potentially, what to focus on how to perhaps build your patience, because that seems to be a bit of a challenge, doesn't it?
Yes. So just to clarify, you mean to work with government sector, right?
Yes.
Well, if I could say, don't start with this sector.
Okay.
That would be like the biggest one. Probably advice. If you can start with something shorter, even smaller, but faster, do it. But then when you work with this, contacts are super important. I know that we wouldn't be able to talk with more police units if we didn't have the cooperation with Czech Police Presidium, and we are very grateful for this. And yeah, we wouldn't even be able, to get to the DEA or Interpol, because they would not be speaking with a random startup, and we were not even startup before when we get there. So definitely contacts. You need to have like a partner or some collaborator or someone who talks with you and who can open the doors for you, because in the governmental sector it's even harder. I believe the contacts are always important, but in this one I would say it's very crucial.
But then it seems that when you actually start working with the public sector, the governmental sector, as you called it, I think the impact that you make is enormous, and the satisfaction that you've done it is mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yes, that's like the vision we had when it gets really tough. That's something what we hold to, because we know we can actually make an impact and we can be really helpful, and we know we can. So that helps us, as you mentioned, with the patient. You need to have that one. You really do. And I am not a patient person. For me, yesterday was already too late. So that's something I really needed to understand and get to know, to be working with patients more. I was also very naive. I would say that in some situations that people are always being nice, or some similar situations. So what I've understood is that I like to look at business or even life as a game, and every game has its own rules. And you really need to make sure you understand the rules of the game you're playing, so you can actually be playing it. Because I have to be honest, I didn't read the rules when I started. It was super fast. We got into the segment like from day one to another one. And that was the naivety I had, that everything works the same, and then whatever. So then I understood, okay, I need to change some things and talk maybe some little bit differently, be more diplomatic. I'm still learning that, and so on. So that's also another advice. Be sure you know what the rules of the segments are.
Thank you so much for this honest opinion, because sometimes, or I would say most of the time, the perception is that it's so easy. When you know exactly what you want, you're gonna get there very, very easily. But it's not, and sometimes we don't see that we could have done something better. So our own perception is different. You mentioned Lucas, who is on the team. Can you tell us a little bit more about the team and how you work, with the team right now, and who's responsible for what, and what it all looks like?
Yes, before I mention that, I just wanted to say something about the honesty. Sometimes I am afraid I am maybe too honest. So I hope I'm not saying too much. If yes, then feel free to stop me.
I will. No, you're doing great.
Okay. So when it comes to the team, definitely Lucas is like the key member, the key role. He's the scientist behind it. As mentioned, he created this whole technology. He's the author of the patented method. So as he's a scientist, he has this science part on his shoulders. So he is the chief scientific officer. We need to run a lot of tests. We need to calibrate the cartridge, but also the device. So this is his role. Then we had also another co-founder who is Adam Wojciech, and he was also scientist, but also a businessman and a leader. So it wouldn't be possible to create the startup without him. He was like the glue. He put us together, and he had this whole idea. In team, we are 8 in total. We have guys for software, for hardware. We have also strategic partner, lawyer partner, since we are dealing with technology transfer, because our technology comes from university, as I mentioned. We needed to go through the licensing process, and it's not very common in Czech. So we needed lawyers for sure. So we are super grateful for this partnership, because it was extremely helpful. And also in the governmental sector, so we needed to make sure that all the contracts are on the right spot. And then we have outsourcing for some software parts, also for some hardware. But yes, as mentioned, we are 8 right now in the team.
I see. So I see that every person has their own sort of responsibility, and they're essential players in the whole group.
Yeah, for sure. In startup, there is a lot of work, not much money, and not a lot of people. So we need to make sure that the resources we have, we're using them correctly.
I want to talk about your journey with EIT, with the Institute of Innovation and European Institute of Innovation and Technology. You started by participating in the EIT Jumpstarter program, and then you ended up winning their InnoStars awards. Can you tell us a bit more about your experience with, what it was like? What were the highlights? What were the perhaps setbacks as well of that engagement with EIT?
Yes. So maybe this will feel too positive, but it really is for me. I had really just positive experience with the whole EIT. Even when they try to ask me for some feedbacks, what can they improve? I gave them 2 positive feedback, and they were sad, because they're like, but that's not how we improve. We need to know the negative part. But
tell us something bad, right?
Yeah. So tell us something that we can improve. But honestly, I really like the whole process. I think I found about EIT, it was 2023, I think, and it was I found it on LinkedIn. I'm not even sure how, but somehow I saw this program, and I really liked it. And since we are thinking globally from the very beginning, I was like, okay, this is really a way which can be super helpful for us. And we got in, and then we had different programs, and you always have to go through some tasks, and then they did some selection, and less startups were going into the final, and so on. And it was amazing. When we started, they showed us how to do the pitch decks and so on. And I already did some pitch decks, because I was in a previous startup before. So I had some idea how to do it, but this was super helpful, because before that I was learning by doing, and thanks to EIT they gave it like in a package, and they went like, this is how you should start, and this is why this makes sense. And we had these videos thanks to which we were learning how to do it. And there was one video, and after one video we were supposed to do one slide. It was so good. I mean, I was sad that it was online, because I always like to do it in person, but I don't think I've ever seen better online learning tools than this one. I really liked it. Then the second part, that's maybe the negative one, we had online as well, and we were learning a lot how to do the business model and stuff. So this made me sad that we were not able to participate in person, but now they have it in person, so that's good. And the contacts. I don't want to be talking about that in details too much, but as mentioned, I really like the whole process. It was super helpful because they helped us with some financials, how to start the company, how to incorporate it. And I've mentioned contacts are super important, and the contacts we got from the EIT Jumpstarter, we are still in touch with those people. We cooperate, I would say, a lot. And it has been just amazing. And winning this, this last year, it's already last year, on November, was amazing. Again, the financial support was really, 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 really helpful. It always is for startup, as I said, a lot of work, not a lot of people, not a lot of financials at all. Yeah,
I think it's also the the fantastic network that EIT has, right, on different levels. So it's the academia, it's the business, it's the legal side of things. So I think that all it contributes to that. Why do you think it's important to be in touch with EIT as an early stage startup?
I really feel like they want to help you when you have to ask for it. It's not gonna come itself, but if you ask for something, I've never received no as an answer. Even though it wasn't for them to help us, they always were trying to tell us who should we reach or who should we contact. Yeah. So really, they are so supportive and trying to make you succeed, and you don't see it all the time like this. So I would say this is like number one. Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest challenge for a startup coming from Central and Eastern Europe, especially when it comes to attracting investors or maybe looking for funding?
For us, it's definitely that we are developing hardware and that we are in governmental sector. That's not very common, and it comes with higher risks for sure. So when we are talking with investors, we are not talking a lot with just Czech ones, because we usually receive feedback that they don't want to invest in hardware or in governmental, and they want something what is faster, let's say. And yes, this development is slower than I also wish it would be, but I think we are doing good speed for what we're developing. But it is slower than if you have a software solution, for example, for sure. So this is an issue, and I'm not sure if I like to say it out loud, but that's one of the things I've also learned, is that being women is bringing another obstacles as well.
So you mean a female CEO, basically, because you're the CEO of the company?
Yes. I mean, it's not like I would have to deal with some issues a lot, like in details, but when you talk with people, you can tell that you have to work harder to show them that they should take you seriously.
And how does that manifest itself, especially when you're speaking to VC funds, for example, and they're sort of less interested in speaking to a female CEO, or how does that manifest itself?
So it depends. It also has its positive side, because since there is not much women in business, there is a lot of grants focused just on women, or just investors who invest just in women. So this is good. This is the positive part. So when you talk with those, that's definitely not an issue. But when you talk with others, I would say that the first conversations are harder. That you have to have maybe more proof, or how to say it, like hold on and show them that you really are serious. And then when you do, it's not an issue anymore. It's fine. But I just feel like, the first moment, the first touch or appearance is a little bit still.
What makes you happy as an entrepreneur?
When things work out as they should, when we set a goal and it's happening, or also when we were able to win the prize and the financials were super good because we needed them. So it was amazing help. But, when you see that what you're doing is really helpful and that other people appreciate that, and they tell you, yes, we really like what you're doing. This can make an impact. This can help a lot of people. So you have our support. Please continue. And, when you receive this kind of feedback, and then there are the hard times, and there is a lot of hard times, this is, what makes you happy and what
keeps you going.
Yeah.
My last question about likely technologies in the next couple of years, maybe next year, maybe this year, maybe in 10 years' time, where do you see the company in that time?
So when it comes to the shorter goals, now, as mentioned, we are raising investment. So getting investment is our goal. Also getting revenues is the goal as well, which comes to mass production. And in the future, we want to be number one technology for combating the crisis, and then helping law enforcement agencies, and then moving to other segments like counterfeit wine, water quality, and environmental. And we don't have a small goals.
Keeping fingers crossed for that. Monika Stepanova was my guest today. Thank you so much for Monika for joining me today.
Thank you so much too. It was so nice.
InnoStars Talks is a series of insightful discussions with inspiring health innovators, brought to you by EIT Health in collaboration with Emerging Europe, a management advisory and the premier source of English language business information about the region.